With these Pro Minute video series, Dr. Klee will share some of his secrets with you on how to become a better flutist. Hello, my name is Dr. David Klee, and welcome to another Pro Minute. Today we're going to talk about cleaning your flute. I get asked this a lot by the parents, not the students so much, but the parents. With that kind of investment in an instrument, I can understand their concern about wanting to make sure that their children don't demolish the instrument trying to clean it. So let me go over a couple of guidelines I teach my students. Let's say you just practice, you're done practicing. Then first thing I would do, I would swab the flute out. And it's very important when you do it that you're gentle. I've seen some students go like that, you might push the cork right out of this, you might actually bend or ding the metal. You don't want to do that, so you put it in, you lightly twist. And I would use either a piece of your dad's handkerchief, make sure you ask his permission first, and something like that, or you could go to the music store and buy a cleaning cloth like this. And then I would do the foot joint. Again, I'm always being gentle. And then the body, again, gentle, always gentle. Okay, then once the inside is swabbed out, what I want to do then, I want to clean the outside. And again, you can either use one of your father's clean cotton handkerchiefs, or in my case, I bought a professional cleaning cloth from a music store. It came with my flute. And then what you could do is, lightly, gently, wipe all the body oils off. I make sure that I always make sure the head joint and the foot joint connections are always clean well, so that when I put it back together, they don't feel sticky or get hard. You always want to make sure they're very free flowing as far as movement. So I clean the whole flute, the body and everything. I even make sure this can build up in here, so either I could take my little finger and gently, notice I said gently, get the stuff out of there, or a Q-tip. Then I do, the foot joint the same way. Now here, this is where the foot joint attaches to the main body, so I gently clean the inside there so it doesn't have any kind of oil buildup. I want to make sure it's nice and clean. And then I clean the tube. And then lastly, I clean the keys. But I always make sure that I don't touch the pads. You never want to touch the pads. The pads, if you tear a pad is like a beach ball with air in it. And what happens to a beach ball with air in it if you get a hole? It deflates. Well, a pad will deflate, it no longer will seat. And if it doesn't seat, that's when you gotta get it replaced. That's probably the biggest thing I see with young flutists. They tend to tear their pads. So I just make sure it's nice and clean, very gently getting the body oils off. Then I do the same thing with the foot joint. I make sure all these connections are very clean. Again, I'll take my little finger here and I clean the inside, and then I go through and I gently wipe the oils off the flute. And then I go to the keys. I notice I'm gently wiping, always gently. Never fast, never in a hurry, because what if the cloth catches on a key and you bend the key? I've seen this many times. Then lastly, while I'm cleaning, I deliberately try not to touch the pads. Because again, if you touch the pads, you stand the chance of ripping them, and then they deflate. When they deflate, they leak, and that means you have to replace the pad. So I do that, and I'm usually on my way. Somebody asked me once, well, how do I clean all this in between here? Well, you can take a Q-tip and just gently move it around and clean it out. Again, taking in mind, you don't want to touch the pads. It's so important not to touch the pads. And what if it tarnishes up in here? You leave it alone. There's nothing you can do to clean this unless you took the key mechanism off. Unless you've had experience doing that, I would not suggest that. The flute doesn't break down in one piece, it breaks down in many pieces. Okay? And then what you do is once or twice a year, you take it to your music store and they adjust it and oil it and get it all clean for you. And what they can do, because they have the technology, the know-how, and the tools, they can take all your key mechanism off and properly clean the tube and get all the tarnish off and stuff like that. What about if the tube is tarnishing? What you could do then, I've actually got one, I don't have it here on me, but you can actually go to a music store and you can buy a cleaning cloth where one side has silver polish on it and the other side is like a buffer. And so you can take the silver polish inside and just gently, again, clean your flute. And do that. Then when you get the polish, then you take the buffer side and you just buff it off. I would be very careful that you don't get the polish on your pads. I've seen flutes, student flutes, where the end of the pads are all black from the silver polish. And then subsequently, I've seen where they rip the pads. So you don't want that. So other than that, I would not touch the flute. I would gently wipe it clean, or if you have the silver polish on a professional cleaning cloth, you can gently clean it that way. I would never use, if you go to a food store and you can see silver cleaning chemicals, I would never use them on a flute. Never. They can pit the flute. They may be very abrasive. I would not do that. This is all I would do. Let the professionals get the tarnish off your flute. This has been a tip from Dr. David Klee, and hopefully this will help you keep your flute spiffy and ready to go whenever you need it. Thank you.